Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen.
Well, fellas, this was an interesting one. This was a suggestion from my 10-year-old son, Charlie. The question is, if everything in life was the same except one thing, what would it be? So I actually I had thought about this a lot, and I came up with a bunch of different answers, and then I would find myself saying, oh, that, everything would be different because but I thought of this. What if everyone in the world was always born with musical talent, like the ability to play a musical instrument? Now, people can still decide not to play the musical instrument, but it can be a way of expression, as they say, and as I've felt too. And I'm curious to think about how it would be because we all speak different languages throughout the world, like if we all got together and someone was like, hey, I don't know how to speak to you, but what if we just start playing this music together? And people can kind of communicate that way. Because the other things I thought of, like one of them was like, what if everybody slept at the same time in the world? That makes no sense. Everything would fall apart, like the overnight crew. So yeah, I just thought it would be interesting to think about, because I think there are people born with natural ability that just never use it. And I also think there are people, I can think of a few people who were frustrated that they couldn't master the instrument within a certain time and just gave up. And that therefore they don't play music. But I think some people you do have to take more time to learn it. Others it's natural. But if everybody had it, then we could all kind of, communicate in different ways.
I don't know, because every time I hit a right note, I'm happy. Like I'm ecstatic. Like if it was a natural ability, I don't think I'd be really pleased with it. Like I have no musical ability, and yet this is what I've decided to do. Because if I get it right, it's like I know people that can pick up anything and play, and they're just not impressed with it. They're like, we go, wow, that was really neat. Oh yeah, whatever. And it's like, I think that if you have no musical ability, so maybe everybody should be born with no musical ability, and we can call it alt rock. But what I'm saying is that like I always think like, oh, I'd love to be able to have been born with all the ability, and I think no, because like even if I play something, if I've got 3 notes to play and I get 2 of them right, I am so happy with myself that I'm on stage pointing at the keyboard, going, "Look, everybody, look!" Occasionally I'll be singing and I'll hit a note, and then I'll go, "Ooh, I hit that note." So I don't know. I think it may be. I think that'd be more of a curse for me.
When that happens, we all turn to you like, what?
Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, the audience too. The audience is like, you saw that? And people are like, I've got it on film. That's the great thing about having cameras now.
Well, tangentially, I don't know. It's like, it would be nice if everyone valued the arts in general, right? Because, people like music, they like theater, they like plays, they like sports. I mean, that's entertainment. But at the same time, it's like, if you took any of those things away, I think a lot of people would be very unhappy. So.
No, that's a really good point. I think most people, it's very rare to find someone that says, I don't like music. I don't listen to music. It's like, well, you listen to something. I could do without the music in like shopping centers and stuff that's being forced on us. But yeah, I think people that don't play music take it for granted sometimes. They're just kind of like if the music stopped, they'd be like, what the fuck?
Interesting. Yeah.
I'd like to have been born with the ability to force my musical tastes on everybody. I'd just like to think, what would it be like to live in a world where everybody listens to the same stuff I listen to? You know what I mean? Like there's like the garbage bins are full of these Beatles albums, but everybody's got like an Angel Spit t-shirt. I just wonder, like Angel Spit Mania as a play on Broadway. I was just kind of wondering like what that world would be like. Might be a better thing in the world. No, I'd be happy.
What if Zoog did a Christmas album, though?
Who did?
I said, what if Zoog did a Christmas album?
Yeah, he probably will do a Christmas album. Sug, if you're watching, Christmas album.
I thought about this long and hard. I was like kind of a little bit struggling with this. And the thing that I came up with, and bear with me, I don't know if I've fully fleshed out my thoughts on this, but I would like to see universal support worldwide, globally, for labor laws. And by labor laws, I mean by like the support of work-life balance, the abolishment of overtime. Everybody has time for leisure, pleasure, and music or entertainment. I'm not saying abolish all work. I'm just saying that I saw a joke, it was a joke meme today or whatever. It was like, Europeans out of office message was something to the effect of, I'm going camping for the rest of the summer. Email me in September and I might get back to you. And in America, that would be, I'm going to have a kidney transplant in two hours, but feel free to text me and I'll get back to you right away. So I think that the focus and the importance of work is detrimental to a lot of society, and that if people were allowed to count on having free time, family time, vacation time, rest time, and they would be happier at work. They would be able, okay, this is my work time. I will focus on more work, and I will, and also paid an honest wage for the work that they do. That would be a great thing if that was something that happened worldwide. I mean, we have great injustice around the world with sweatshops and the Far East, and Americans just gimme everything from China. So I've always wondered, has anybody ever done like a study or a movie or a little short film? It's like going into an American home and saying, okay, we're going to remove everything that you have in your house from made in China, because you're complaining about China dominating the manufacturing market and Americans not having jobs. What would be left in their house if that happened? So anyway, that's mine.
It's interesting. We were under Nixon. We were almost ready to move to a 4-day week under Nixon. Like we used to, people never talk about Nixon as this progressive guy, and he actually, the last real hike we had in the living wage was under Nixon. We gave that all away when Reagan came in, and because it works like this. If I were to say to you, look, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some tax breaks, time off. I'll give people, long maternity leave. I'll help with childcare. And in order to do that, we're just going to tax rich people a little bit, so much that they won't even notice that they're being taxed. They'll still be billionaires. They'll just be missing a little bit, and that'll go in. People, if I said that, and then somebody else stood up and said, boss, a tax break, and that'll eventually come to you. You would vote for me. But the way it's dealt with is then that person hires a firm, does a little research, and you start seeing ads that say, well, don't vote for Rodney. He wants to put, men in the bathroom with your children, which is what they did in North Carolina. The crazy anti-trans bathroom laws came because they were towns in North Carolina, the big cities were actually giving laws. You had to pay people a living wage. To get around that, they just hired these firms and said, oh, look, they have a law that says trans men can use a women's bathroom, bless you. And that's what they focus on. And they use that to make it so you couldn't pass laws in cities that weren't state laws. That's just how it works. You're seeing it now with the idea of using the whole critical race theory. With critical race theory, folks, is taught in graduate courses, graduate economic courses. The people out there bitching about it are never going to be in a graduate economic course. Neither are any of their relatives. These are people who can't find Waldo, for Christ's sake. I'm sorry to go, but it's being used as a cudgel because you can get people to vote against their own economic best interest. This started about 40 some years ago. They started doing this under Reagan, and that's why you see it now. So just, explain to people that, hey, you're voting against your own best economic interest. And if they don't understand it, I can't help you there. All right, question. I want to get to the question. I thought long and hard about this because I think long and hard about everything. I took a philosophical approach on this. you're all familiar with Plato's logical statement or statement of explaining logic that Fido is a dog. All dogs bark. Therefore, Fido barks. So this is mine. Cujo is a dog. Cujo has rabies. Therefore, all dogs have rabies. Yes, in my version, all dogs have rabies. Think about it. Everybody now is like, oh man, I got to go back to work. You know, everything's safe, and now I got to stop working from home or living at work. Don't call it working from home. There's another thing, Dean. Dovetails with yours. Stop calling it working from home. Call it living at work. I got to stop. I got to stop living at work, and I got to go into the other office. Not now. The streets are filled with rabid dogs. It would just. And here's. It would be exciting. Rabid dogs everywhere, running around. You're inside. You look out. You know, and and they've always been rabid. So that's the way I look at it. I'll change that so we can say they've always been rabid. Think about it. We can start retconning movies. All right. Benji, it's a much better film if Benji has rabies. And again, you don't have to change anything else. Or take Old Yeller. All right. And now you got to reverse it. So the dog loses his rabies. And then Billy's like, my dog, Ma, I'll do it. Boom. So I'm just saying a world where all dogs have rabies, you know, or you can flip it around and say it, you know, Socrates is a philosopher, Plato's a philosopher, Plato has rabies, therefore all philosophers have rabies. You can do whatever you want with it, but I think it works in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's my thought, and I did the best I could.
Have you seen Isle of Dogs?
I have.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard of it. Yeah,
It's good.
It's been recommended to me. It's a little sad, I think. It's like the film White Dog, and yeah, it's I can't. Yeah.
No, it's there are some sad moments. It's not like that. I don't even know what you were referencing, but
I don't know what I'm
not that sad. It does have moments, but it just made what you were talking about made me think of it. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I like that answer. All dogs have rabies.
Okay. If everything in the world was the same except for one thing, I would want that one thing to be perception of the sameness of the world.
Oh.
And for it to be ever changing. And it already is. I think our perception is ever changing, but I would like it to be a lot more acute than it is, so that people are more appreciative of the world and humanity itself and humanity's place within the world or the universe. It's like
mushrooms. You're taking mushrooms again.
Yeah, but I would like it, and maybe mushrooms would get people to think that way, but I would like it to be drugless and permanent. It's like songs. Every time you hear a song, you hear it differently because you hear it because you're in a different place mentally the next time you hear it. The song remains the same, but your perception of it changes, and that's the way I would like the world to be in this, to answer this question of everything. That's the one thing I think should change.
So you remember laughter?
As I was thinking, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe people would be happier and people would oppress others less, and people would feel less oppressed and depressed. I don't know. That's it.
People would probably take less drugs too, because a lot of
Why
people
would they need to?
Or we would just perceive that they're taking less drugs.
Or maybe, yeah, the drugs would always be the same. Yeah, they would think of it differently. I don't know. I might have misunderstood the question.
It was a tough one, and
It was kind of open-ended.
you want to know what Charlie's answer was? I was like, what is your answer to that? And he was like, water, all water is poisonous. And I was like, wow, that's
kind of like Rodney's answer.
I like that. That's better than mine. Like the Tim and Eric thing. Don't eat the food. All the food is poison.
Does he like to drink soda only or something?
No, he doesn't really like soda. He likes water.
Soda has made with water.
I think he just wanted, I think in his mind, it was such an abstract concept that he wanted to see how, like in his mind, how, this is just my theory, how chaotic the world would be if we couldn't drink the water.
Now, is the water in our bodies also poison? Because
I don't know, I can bring them in here, but oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
not give him the third degree.
That's his desire. All water is poison.
Because every time we bring in a guest, they're smarter than we are, and it's about to be a 10-year-old kid.
I'm like,
Be onto something. I don't know.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, he's gonna say everybody's got the same skin color, world peace, end world hunger. All the water's poisonous.
It might end up being that
I was
way
gonna say it might end
in the future.
predicting it.
You
How
know,
about all mushrooms are psychedelic?
all of them?
Well, yeah, thanks, guys. That was an interesting one, and I appreciate.
Yeah, if anybody's watching, post your answer down below. I'd be curious to know.
There'll be some doozies. So for recommendations, I'm going to do a quick recommendation, and it's mostly because I've been doing a lot of this, but I've been doing a lot of gardening work and landscaping, and I think if you have the means, you should do a little bit here and there, especially if you ever suffer from anything. Like I have pretty bad anxiety, and it really helps to kind of focus on something that's not, you know, the anxiety. So yeah, get some gloves, get some tools, and do a little bit of weeding and planting some shrubs or something. I don't know, whatever you want. Yeah, weed.
Get a hoe.
Hey,
Hey, yeah.
Hey.
Hey, hey.
Okay, I have a recommendation for a band that I discovered this week, and just pause, Joe. I apologize if you mentioned this band before. They're an English band called Dry Cleaning. No, okay. So yeah, it's an English band called Dry Cleaning.
Where do you think they came up with the idea from?
I don't know, but they have the EP that really hooked me was their first EP called what is it called? Sweet Princess EP. It's a six song EP, and it's I don't know, it just got me right away. It's like great guitar sounds, throbbing bass, good drummer, and a woman who used to be a university lecturer who made lists, who kind of just recites her lists on top of this music, and it's just absolutely captivating for me. They have a new album. They just got signed to 4AD. They have a new album called New Long Leg, and we'll provide a link. You can listen to their stuff on Bandcamp. I think they're a lot of fun. Some people describe I saw somebody describe their guitar sound as like Ricky Wilson from B-52s, but it's not peppy like that. Some of it's a little peppy, but it's a little more plodding, and it's fun. I like it. They're called Dry Cleaning, and I know they've got a big tour in Europe later this year, and I'm hoping they come to Philadelphia sometime. I can't wait to see them live.
Okay, I've got a gold star recommendation to begin with. It's a film came out in 2020 called The Kid Detective. It is a black comedy, and it's partially an idea we flirted with here. We talked about Encyclopedia Brown on this show. This is what would have happened if Encyclopedia Brown had grown up and stayed in the same town. In other words, like all the kids that he turned in for things wanted to beat him up. He's in his 30s. He's a failure. He's doing the same thing over and over again. It is very, very dark, and it revolves around a case of a kidnapping, and there's also a murder in it that he tries to solve. It is very, very dark, very, very funny, and I very, very, very much tell you to seek it out and watch it. If you like very dark comedy, and the end of it just takes your heart and crunches it. The end of it, you'll be thinking about the end forever. So please go see The Kid Detective. I just, particularly if you had read Encyclopedia Brown when you were younger and you just thought, it's not going to work out for him when he gets older. The other thing I want to recommend, We won't be using the word peppy to describe this band either. This is a band called Order of the Static Temple, and they have a new album out called Rise in Fire. It's not going to change anybody's life, but it's just a good, solid album. It sounds very much like late 80s, early 90s, or inspired by. It's not derivative of late 80s, early 90s sort of electronic underground music. Very, very intense, very, very heavy, and rockin'. Yeah, it's the let's say it's the future we could have had if Nirvana hadn't ruined everything. So again, it's Order of the Static Temple. The album's Rise and Fire. Please look for this. And if you get a hold of it, play it really loud.
Okay. I'd like to recommend a Netflix documentary called My Octopus Teacher. It is about a filmmaker named Craig Foster and his relationship with an octopus. And I won't say any more about it because that would ruin it probably. But it's very—
a little bit more about it.
No, because your imagination will fill something dirty. So yeah.
No, it's not dirty.
Not dirty.
Very beautifully filmed. Most of it's underwater, as you can probably imagine. So it's excellent to look at. And it takes place in a South African kelp forest near Cape Town. And it won an Oscar for Best Documentary Feature. So there you go. Check it out if you can.
And folks, I just want to say something. We had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs on tonight's show. But one thing we take seriously are baseless rumors about feral humans running amok in our national parks. Just a reminder, there are no feral humans in our national parks. There are a lot of great things in our national parks. Feral humans are not one of them. Please don't put in the comments, what about the TikTok videos? No, trust me, there are no feral humans in our national parks.
Central Park. That's not a national park.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to tell you this. It's just one of these things you shouldn't have to hear from the Dead Milkmen. But this is a thing that's been exploding. And if we can just put this to rest, because there is a little bit of a classist sort of thing, because people are claiming there are feral Appalachians, people from Appalachia running through the parks. No, there are not. There are no feral humans in our national parks. Thank you.